It looks like the UFC is about to fumble their first event with Paramount Plus very, very badly, because right here, as you see next to me, Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison is rumored to be the main event for UFC 324 in Las Vegas, which will be the first numbered card under the Paramount deal. And while this is a big fight, this is a very disappointing headliner for what should be a massive, massive card to start the Paramount Plus deal. So in this video, we're going to get into just who could save the UFC 324 card. My name is Wyatt. Welcome to Fight Society. What's going on, guys? Before we get into the video, please do me a huge favor. Like this video down below and click that subscribe button as well. Per Ariel Helwani, the frontrunner to headline the first UFC numbered event in 2026 is Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. This right here from Ariel Helwani via Home of Fight says, Ariel Helwani reports Kayla Harrison versus Nunes is currently the frontrunner to headline the first numbered event. It sounds as of right now that the Ilia Topuria fight isn't scheduled for January. What I'm hearing about the plan is frontrunner Kayla versus Amanda. Could they do both? Sure, but I'm not hearing that's a part of the mix. This would be a massive disappointment to open the Paramount Plus card. And of course, the UFC, given that they're going to be on a subscription model and not on a pay-per-view model where they have to sell $80 pay-per-views anymore, they're going to be less enticed to put together super cards like they have in the past, unless it's something that really depends on a big name, or else they'd be embarrassed, like the White House card. If they were to make this like the headliner at the White House, it'd be pretty fucking embarrassing. This is a massive fight for a female fight. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. Not that many fans are going to give a rat's ass about this card. Paramount Plus is paying $7.7 billion to the UFC over the course of 7 years to help grow their subscriber base and bring in the casual fans. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes is not going to bring in any casual fans at all. To bring that casual fan base, you need a McGregor, an Ilia Topuria, a Max Holloway, a Charles Oliveira, an Islam Makhachev even is a big enough name. Maybe even Volkanovski. He's not that big of a draw compared to the other guys, but they need a recognizable name that people actually give a shit about. For them to build this up as a massive card on the new Paramount Plus deal and then deliver Nunes coming out of retirement to face Kayla Harrison is a huge disappointment, and they need somebody to save this card, which is where the guy that saves every UFC card when they need a main event slides in. We got Alex Pereira. Carlos Ulberg is in the works via Tim Wheaton MMA. This would be a fun fight, but also Alex Pereira's in a boot right now, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't know if this is going to happen. But Pereira has stepped up injured before. And here we have Tim Wheaton saying, this is not yet confirmed, but I am hearing rumors that UFC is aiming for Pereira versus Ulberg at T-Mobile for January 24th, UFC 324. Blake Axe Avanon says, Alex Pereira versus Ulberg was part of early discussions for a February Australia card, but multiple sources now indicate the matchup is moving towards headlining the Paramount launch event at UFC 324 this January. It would make sense for them to want to put this on the Australia card, given that Carlos Ulberg is New Zealander or Australian. But I thought this entire time, because the information that I've had is that the February card, UFC 325 in Australia, is going to be Volkanovski's retirement fight. And why they wouldn't put him in the main event for that, I'm not sure. I know they're trying to tap into that New Zealand, Oceania, Australia market. And so it would make sense for them to do a double headliner, massive, massive card, Pereira Ulberg with Volk and Movsar or something like that as the co-main event. But it's looking like we are not going to get this fight in Australia. It's looking and leaning towards January 24th, Pereira versus Ulberg headliner with an Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison co-main. Now that would actually make a level of sense, even though Pereira and Ulberg is not some blockbuster, get the fans crazy riled up type of fight. It is going to be a sick fight, regardless of when it happens. It's going to be City Kickboxing's next guy in Carlos Ulberg against Alex Pereira. It's going to be a sick kickboxing matchup, and I'm hoping that Ulberg doesn't act like a little bitch and start shooting double legs all of a sudden because he's fighting Alex Pereira. I want to see a kickboxing fight in 4-ounce gloves. Now, when you think about the champs that we have, Pantoja and Merab both fighting in December, so they won't be on the card. Volkanovski likely going to be in Australia, like I mentioned in February. Ilia Topuria, not on the card. Every report that I'm hearing, Ilia Topuria is not fighting in January, even though Arman Tsarukyan said he's down to turn around on short notice and fight Ilia in January. Turns out it's not going to happen. We're not getting Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia. We're not getting Tsarukyan versus Pimblett. We're not getting Gaethje versus Pimblett. I think those are going to be pushed to a massive card in Vegas in March or April. Maybe they have a specific place that they want Ilia to fight that is not Vegas. Maybe they want him to fight in Spain. Maybe they want him to fight in Miami, something like that. So we got Ilia Topuria on the shelf. Islam just fought. He's not going to be on the card. Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane would make a lot of sense, but Tom Aspinall still can't see. So that fight's not happening in January. We've talked about Alex Pereira, and the only other option would be Khamzat Chimaev. But he said this week he got a foot surgery and that he's going to be out past Ramadan, which is late March. So that means that Khamzat Chimaev at the earliest is going to fight in like April or May. Why is the UFC literally always scrambling for headlining slots? I mean, they needed Alex Pereira for UFC 300. They needed him for UFC 303. They needed him for UFC 307. They've used him so many times to bail out big cards. And I've said this before, Pereira's my favorite fighter. I love his mentality. I love his fight style. I love his personality, all of that. So I'm not hating on Pereira filling in on short notice because he's a Chad for doing it. I'm hating on the UFC because they're getting paid $1.1 billion a year, and they can't figure out headlining slots. I mean, based on what we're looking at right now, Pereira Olberg, or I mean, fuck it, they might throw together Oliveira Max Holloway as a BMF title fight to start the card or to start the Paramount deal. But I mean, how as a $7.7 billion, I mean, they're like a $20 billion company now, but with a $7.7 billion broadcasting deal, ticket prices through the roof before you even announce a headliner, how are you going to sit here and dog the fan base with just sloppiness? Frankly, just sloppiness. When you sit here and you see Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes for the headliner of this supposed to be groundbreaking blockbuster card, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And they're going to find a way to say Harrison versus the GOAT, and this is a massive card. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members-only live streams, behind-the-scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. Kayla Harrison cuts like 40 pounds to make 135. Is she going to be able to cut that type of weight in 2 months? I think her training camps are like 6 months long because of how much weight she has to cut and how much she has to manage her weight over a sustained period of time. Nunes is coming out of retirement. Is she going to want to take a fight on 8 weeks notice or 10 weeks notice, something like that, for the sake of being the headlining card? I mean, at this point, I'd almost rather them save this fight for like the White House and put Pereira versus Olberg and then stack the undercard with, you know, an O'Malley, because O'Malley hasn't fought since June when he lost to Merab. You know, an O'Malley, who's another big name? Maybe a Strickland versus Fluffy Hernandez could be on this card. Adesanya, like they need to throw big names on this card, or the UFC is going to be looking really, really bad when it comes to the Paramount executives and their opinion of the UFC, because they're already dealing with the gambling scandal being a huge chink in the UFC's armor, egg on their face, leading into this deal where people think that UFC fights are fixed. And apparently, allegedly, some of them are. So how, as this massive promotion, can you sit here and take $7.7 billion and then not put together a massive card to start the deal on a good foot? I mean, it's almost like Dana White is doing Paramount the way that Francis Ngannou did the PFL, where he made them a bunch of promises. They wrote a big check, and now they're not delivering. Now, of course, there's the option that Merab turns around and fights somebody like Umar in January, because Merab is just such a dog that's willing to fight every 6, 7, 8 weeks and get a paycheck. But is that really even that big of a fight? Merab versus Umar rematch with this fight right here as the co-headliner? I don't like it at all. Now, it is redeemable if this is the co-main, Pereira's the main event, and then you do an O'Malley versus Song Yadong, or O'Malley versus fill in the blank. O'Malley versus Sandhagen would be a sick fight to put on there. Strickland versus Fluffy Hernandez. It is savable, but we're getting really, really close to needing an announcement because today is November 24th. This card is January 24th. It's 2 months from now, literally today. They're going to have to announce something. And when you look at the UFC website, hopefully they are saving a bunch of massive fights that they don't want to announce on ESPN, or because of contractually they can't announce on ESPN because they're going to be on Paramount. This is all the UFC has on their website in terms of upcoming events. They literally have 323 Dvalishvili versus Jan rematch, and then Royval versus Kopp the very next week in the Apex, a very quiet and frankly shitty way to go out from the ESPN deal. But I understand they're not going to put a bunch of effort into the very last card on ESPN. And Tapology is usually way ahead of the curve compared to the UFC website in terms of getting fight rumors or rumored fights booked, or at least posted. And even on here, Dvalishvili versus Jan rematch, Royval versus Kopp, and then UFC 324. And the only fight that is on UFC 324 as of right now is Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas, where it's Nikita Krylov defending his ranked spot against Bukauskas. And if you ask me, this is a prelim fight. This is a second or third from the top of the prelims for the type of card we should be expecting on Paramount. Now, what's the UFC going to do with this card? I hope that it's Pereira, because that's about as good as they can get at this point in time, because Ilya's not going to take a fight on short notice. And frankly, what are we doing with these champs? You can't have Ilya get a first round KO, take no damage, and not fight for 7, 8, 9, 10 months because he fought in June, at the end of June. If he doesn't fight till March or April, it's going to be 10 months since we've seen Ilia Topuria, who allegedly said he's going to stay busy and retire young. And I love watching Ilia Topuria fight. I think he's really good for the sport, but you knock out Charles. Charles has already fought since that loss and won, and he might fight again against Max Holloway for the BMF before you fight again. I know Topuria is going through personal stuff, allegedly a divorce and things like that, but get back on the horse. I know you coach your brother and your brother coaches you, and he just fought last weekend, but you should be ready to go. We can't turn around and ask Pantoja or Dvalishvili or Makhachev to turn around on 10 weeks notice after a fight, or 8 weeks notice, or 6 weeks notice after a fight. The only other thing I can think of is Volkanovski gets bumped up to this card on 324, and they do Pereira Olberg in Australia. But even that sounds fucking weak. Volkanovski versus Ev Loyev to open the card. I don't like that either. So I hate to just come on here and bitch and moan, but what is Dana White doing? What is Hunter Campbell doing? $7.7 billion and you can't figure out your first event. I hope they prove me wrong and blow me out of the water with some crazy stacked card. But I don't think so, especially with not having to sell pay-per-views. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video, and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.